Well, my role in a total community came because doors opened and people supported me and lifted me on everything I've ever done in life. I've had mentors, people who believed in me, who supported me, and so I just sort of been going along with the waves, with the energy of the community. I loved it. I loved being involved in issues, supporting the poor and those kinds of things, and changing policies of governance that was more representative of everybody could have a sheriff, right? Not just white people, black people, Republican, Democrat. Everybody sheriff ought to be, they ought to feel like he's their sheriff, or he or she or what have you. But so I've been very happy to have been a part of changing mindsets along that way as mayor. So.
Tell me a bit about as sheriff. You was mentioning how you were a sheriff with no law enforcement experience, which was, which I find interesting. But there you are being sheriff, bringing them into a modern era, and then April 1968 comes in, and everything changes on you, right? Yeah.
It really did. And the thing that we did learn is we knew what we didn't know, so we sought knowledge from the Justice Department and FBI and the experiences in Los Angeles with Sirhan and what happened with Oswald in Dallas. So we spent a great deal of time evaluating and planning and encouraging professional support so that we developed a plan. One of the things that people might not remember, the day Martin Luther King was killed, we had already activated the FBI, the Highway Patrol, Tennessee National Guard, Sheriff's Department, Police Department. We had what we call TAC units, 3 units together, with a lot of people on board, ready to deal with the sanitation strike and violence in town. Well, we had that in place. Other cities did not have any of that. And so we were fortunate. We put the cap on things quickly. We called a curfew, and we had the enforcement in place, so we had very little violence and by comparison to Chicago and other places, Los Angeles and what have you. And we were fortunate in that. That never has been talked about much, but we were fortunate.
Tell me a bit about, did you ever get a chance to talk with James Earl very much?
Many times. Many
What's
times.
your impression of him?
Well, I just think he was just by the way, I never pegged him as being racist. I think whatever he did through some sort of expectation of greatness from the killing. And I think he had advice and counsel before the fact. I think some people knew what he did and knew about what was going on after the fact. So I call it collusion.
You don't think he was alone in this fact?
I don't think anybody in their right mind would believe that he could manage all that he managed, including the escape, without having others know something about it.
And you didn't believe he was racist?
I did not get that. In talking with him, it didn't come out in dialogue. We talked about a lot of things, like the dumb things he did that got him arrested, and that type of thing. But he was a simple man. He was a type of person. His 2 brothers, that you might remember, were both felon criminals and worked for this guy, J.B. Stoner, who was the guy later on implicated in the bombing of the church in Birmingham. So that's a lot of, those things did not get put together during all that process. That's why I thought that they should have had a trial. We should have had a trial instead of letting him plead guilty and accepting that guilty plea. I think the nation should have been able to see what caused him to do what he did, and a trial might have made it clear to air.
He changed his mind real quick, though, didn't he, after he pleaded guilty?
Well, he did, but the guy Percy Foreman, if you remember Percy,
Yeah, I do.
Perfect Full Flusher Foreman, they called him. But he was brought into the deal, and others eliminated, and he quickly met with the brothers and so forth. They determined it wasn't in their best interest to go to trial. They thought it better to plead guilty. Those of us in law enforcement wanted a trial.
Tell me a bit about, now we know about Elvis and your friendship with Elvis, and it was a good friendship, you said.
It was.
Tell me a bit about that man.
Well, to me, Elvis was an incredible human being, not only an entertainer, but we grew up the same place in Mississippi, and he was also very poor, but he had this incredible talent. And he kept loyal to his friends as he went high into this atmosphere of entertainment, he retained his relationships with the people he grew up with. You know, that's why he had the local, what they call the Memphis Mafia. I saw Elvis as a fan and as a friend, and then as mayor, I said, he wants to stay in Memphis. He loves Memphis. Let's capitalize on what he has to offer Memphis, and so that's how we began to market him as a tourist attraction. We supported him in everywhere. I traveled with him many places, but in all cases, I always found him to be kind, generous, and fun to be with. I mean, like shooting fireworks in the backyard and using garbage can lids to protect yourself. I remember one time we were out there, Mike, and I showed up and I didn't know we were going to do this. I had on a polyester suit. I paid $28 for that suit, you know. But we get out there and start shooting Roman candles. I went home and I looked like Swiss cheese. But that's polyester stuff it is. But this is the kind of guy he was.
Now, so you've been around with the two biggest deaths in this city's history, probably, because you know Dr. King.
Right.
And when Elvis died in 1977, what was that like?
It was so unbelievable. I was in the caravan that went to the cemetery, and when we came out of Graceland, it was unbelievable. See, tens of thousands of people. Where did they come from that quickly? You know, along the highway, all the way to the cemetery. That was very revealing, how people felt about Elvis's music, even though the society people in Memphis kind of, you know, thought very little of his role in the community. I saw him as a great asset, a great talent, because I was from the same grassroots where he came from, so I could relate to that.
Tell me a bit about, we talk about Elvis, we talk about James Earl Ray, two of the things that you're very well known for. What, in that book, is there anything there that you can think of that you look at with intense pride that maybe doesn't get mentioned as much as Elvis?
Yes. My pride is, after having done all the things I did, to travel the world, handle these big cases, in 1997, my wife, that I married when she was 17 and I was 20, had a major stroke. She was rendered helpless, and for 19 years, I changed my life. So this is where the richness of life comes, when you can love and care for someone you love, like I did for 19 years with her. You cook her meals, you take care of her, you bathe her, you take her to the doctor every day, day in and day out. You spend the time building your own soul that you can identify with, loving her and caring for her. So that is the reason, at the end of the book, dedicated to Ann, the mother of my children, grandmother of my grandchildren, great-grandchildren. The richness of life comes in being able to share that. And here I am at 86. I lost my wife 2 years ago. And at the same time, when we're taking care of her, it was one of the richest experiences you could have. And her death was one of the greatest losses.
In the meantime, you're going to be known as someone who was a sheriff or who was the county mayor. Now, were you the first one, or was Roy Nixon the first county mayor?
Me.
You were the first county mayor.
No, he was for 18 months.
Oh, was 18 months he was in there? Okay.
Yeah, he was a part-time. Then
Because you guys, I was going to say, you guys, your career is kind of parallel.
Yeah, right. He was my chief deputy. Did
Skip
a great,
Nixon,
Skip, and he did a good job for me. He was the law enforcement side of me that I could depend on, while I did the front porch stuff, you know, promoting ideas in the community.
What do you think of the politics in this city now?
Well, you know, I can't get a read on it, and I'm not really one that can draw any conclusions. I'm just saying that there's as big a challenge today, I think, as it was even in those days, except they're different now. And I think the difference is to try to get people to get on board with being a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. People to get into volunteering, being a part, and to try to get away from this division that we have finding in Washington. That's the saddest part, and it rubs off on local communities like ours. And like I said earlier in my comments, the Republican-Democrat thing should not exist on a local level for local offices and local management. Because, let me tell you, there's no R or D in front of a person who's been a victim of a crime or is sick, who has needs. It's for the community to decide how we're going to deal with those issues.